Like, that's not even
You're
debatable.
not paying anything for Shedeur Sanders right now.
Right,
Shedeur
and
Sanders
you got what you paid for. You got the worst quarterback in the NFL this year. You got exactly.
No, that's a lie. That is what I'm saying. The worst quarterback in the NFL.
What are you looking at?
I'll give you numbers.
What are you
I'll give
looking
you
at?
numbers. He came in 4 games. He came in 3 in spot duty, coming in for Jordan Love. So you come in games that they're getting ready for other quarterbacks and that they haven't seen a lot of you. So he's obviously played well enough. We can give him $50 million to the guy over 2 years.
This is why.
And invest in.
And look at his face. Look at his face. These are the anybody. Anthony Lima is a part of the anybody but Shedeur campaign, along with Mary Kay Cabot, along with Jason Lloyd. These people are exposed, man. They expose themselves.
Like, subscribe, and hit that bell.
Anthony Lima crossed a line, and Browns fans noticed immediately. After saying Shedeur Sanders should be fired, the reaction came quickly. Lima's take on Shedeur isn't just wrong, it's reckless. Calling a young quarterback the worst in the NFL while ignoring context, opportunity, and actual performance is emotion, not logic. That's not analysis. That's frustration pretending to be confidence. Saying, you got what you paid for, without breaking down scheme, protection, coaching choices, or game situations doesn't inform fans. It pushes a narrative. And when Anthony instantly walked it back, that said everything. If you truly believe your take, you don't panic mid-sentence. That moment showed how weak the argument really was. Ken Carman is doing what real analysts should do, looking at numbers, context, and facts. He points out that Shedeur played limited snaps, often in spot duty, sometimes when defenses weren't even preparing for him. That matters. You can't judge a quarterback fairly without knowing when he played, who he faced, and what he was trusted to do. The fact the organization invested real money over 2 years shows they saw value, growth, and upside. Teams don't waste millions on quarterbacks they believe are the worst. Carman's approach is calm, grounded, and reality-based, not built for shock value. This is where Browns media keeps losing credibility. There's a clear pattern of blaming Shedeur first, and it shows up from the same voices again and again. Instead of questioning coaching, front office decisions, or years of instability, it's easier to dump everything on one young quarterback. That's lazy coverage. It's not bold. It's not honest. And fans are noticing. When media voices sound more angry than informed, they expose themselves. This isn't hate. It's facts. Shedeur Sanders has been judged unfairly, while parts of Browns media protect bad narratives instead of telling the full story. And that's the real ugly work here. And somehow, Anthony Lima still managed to make it worse in the same breath.
Let's say, sure, you guys are all telling me they're going to be terrible, that there's nothing they can do to improve the offense, and that the quarterback play, we can't be desperate, but yet it's not desperate to roll out the worst quarterback room in football next year.
I'm never going to get to the college football game that we wanted to get to.
That seems kind of...
It's desperate and even dumber. Like, this guy's a 5th-round pick. If he works out, he works out. But if he doesn't, he's a 5th-round pick. That's the way it goes, okay? Well, I don't want to say that because then I'll get killed for saying that. He's a back-end draft guy that if he works out, great. If he doesn't, fine. You want to invest in these guys that you just said, well, they're not going to get us.
He wants to invest $50+ million.
Anthony Lima sounds completely checked out, and that's the real issue. When a media voice says, why am I even watching the Browns this year, that's quitting. And once you quit, everything after that is driven by bias. He already decided the season is done. So now every move looks stupid to him. He talks about desperation, but what's more desperate than giving up before a snap is played? If you don't believe in Shedeur, fine. But where's the fair breakdown? Where's the patience you give other quarterbacks? Why is it panic with Shedeur but wait and see with everyone else? Calling it the worst quarterback room in football is another lazy take. Based on what? Preseason feelings, media noise, or fear of being wrong later? This is a league where quarterbacks develop at different speeds, especially without perfect situations. Shedeur hasn't had stability, elite protection, or a settled offense. Yet he's judged like a finished product. Why? Why does he need to prove everything immediately while others get excuses for years? Lima says the Browns shouldn't be desperate, yet demands instant answers at quarterback. That doesn't match. You can't say, don't panic, while panicking on air. Ken Carman's point actually makes sense because it's rooted in reality, not emotion. A later-round quarterback is a low-risk, reasonable move. If it works, great. If not, you move on. That's how teams stay flexible instead of locking into a $50 million mistake. Carman isn't blindly hyping Shedeur. He's explaining why this approach isn't reckless. That's where Lima loses the plot. Would you rather gamble cheaply or trap yourself in another expensive failure? Why is patience suddenly unacceptable with Shedeur? Those are the questions Browns media keeps avoiding. And until they answer them honestly, this criticism will sound more like fear than football.
So you saw Shedeur Sanders play 6-7 games, whatever, and you don't want to give him an opportunity. You saw this dude who's been in the league for 5 years start 6 games with a great team, and he took a lot of L's too. But those 6 games make you look at him and say you want to give him $50 million. You are a pure bozo, Anthony. Pure bozo.
You have to take chances on certain guys if you want to get a leg up on other teams if you don't feel
This is where the logic completely breaks down, and it needs to be called out plainly. You watch Shedeur for a short stretch of games, with limited reps, limited rhythm, and little time to settle in. And somehow that's enough to shut the door on him for good. No patience. No development window. No second look. But at the same time, another quarterback spends years in the league, finally starts a few games on a strong roster, loses plenty of them, and suddenly that small sample is used as proof he deserves big money. How does that make sense? Where is the standard? Why is one player labeled a finished failure after a few appearances, while another is rewarded for simply surviving on a good team? That's not evaluation. That's favoritism pretending to be analysis. And that's why calling Anthony Lima a bozo is an exaggeration. It's accurate. Refusing smart risks while demanding certainty at quarterback is how teams stay average forever. Teams that get ahead take chances on talent before it's obvious. Shedeur is young, talented, and still developing, yet he's treated like his time already ran out. Meanwhile, Lima is comfortable pushing big money toward a player who already showed his ceiling over multiple seasons. That's backward thinking. You don't win by paying for what already failed somewhere else. You win by betting early when the price is low and the upside is real. Playing scared is how teams stay stuck. What makes this worse is how simple it is. If your quarterback room isn't good enough, you try something new. You don't improve by recycling the same ideas and hoping for different results. Giving Shedeur a real chance isn't reckless. It's logical. It's controlled risk. And if it fails, you move on without destroying your future. That's the part Lima keeps ignoring. This isn't blind belief. It's smart football thinking. And until Browns media stops confusing fear with wisdom, they'll keep missing the point. And Shedeur will keep being judged before he's allowed to grow.
our quarterback room is good enough to stand pat.
No,
then why do you think it's crazy to survey the landscape around the NFL?
Because you're telling me to give up money and a guy that the only argument you're giving me is if he plays any bit like the 6 games he started over 4 years.
If 32 teams felt like you would, or 31, then nobody would pick up Malik Willis. So who picks him up? Who gets him?
31 other teams.
Who goes after him?
31 other teams are having a deeper conversation other than, you got to give me something to sell me on Malik Willis, Anthony. You have to give me an argument.
I've watched him play in games that matter, and he's been pretty good.
When did you watch him play in games that matter?
This year, he came in for Jordan Love this year against the Bears and played pretty damn well.
He started one game for Jordan Love.
And he came in relief in another game.
He started one game, and he came in relief. Great, so he came in a game.
So nobody should pick up Malik Willis, judging by your scouting.
That's not what I'm saying.
Then who does?
That's not what I'm saying.
You're not making any sense.
But your argument sucks. That's the point I'm making. So how do the
Browns get better quarterbacks?
So, hey, Malik Willis.
What is Ken Garman's argument?
Malik Willis.
You just told me the Browns.
This exchange shows exactly where Anthony's argument collapses under its own weight. He keeps asking if the quarterback room is good enough, but never defines what good enough even means. One minute he says teams around the league don't believe in certain quarterbacks. The next minute, he claims teams are quietly having deep conversations about Malik Willis. Which is it? If Malik Willis were truly viewed as a real answer, he wouldn't be bouncing around as a backup and emergency option. A few relief snaps and one decent showing don't erase years of film. Yet Anthony treats those moments like they rewrite everything. That's cherry picking. What makes it worse is how differently Shedeur is judged in the same conversation. Shedeur gets crushed for a short stretch of games, while Willis is defended using even smaller flashes. Why does one player need to prove everything immediately while the other gets endless benefit of the doubt? That's the real issue. Shedeur hasn't been given stability, elite coaching, or a clean system, yet he's expected to be perfect or written off. Meanwhile, Willis gets praised for stepping in behind a strong roster and looking okay. That's not a fair comparison. If we're being honest, Shedeur has shown more command, more confidence, and more upside in limited chances than Willis has shown in years. So why is Anthony so quick to dismiss one and sell the other? The most revealing part is when Anthony starts arguing against himself. He says teams wouldn't pick up Willis, then immediately says teams would. He asks for proof, then rejects it when it's given. That's not debate. That's confusion. And when someone has to be told their argument makes no sense, it's usually because there's nothing solid left. Favoring Willis over Shedeur isn't bold. It's lazy thinking that avoids betting on growth. If the Browns want to improve, they can't keep choosing comfort over upside. And Shedeur, whether Anthony likes it or not, represents upside that hasn't been fully tested, which is exactly why he deserves a real opportunity. In the end, Anthony Lima talked himself in circles and exposed some of his weakest takes yet. And the contrast in how Shedeur is treated couldn't be clearer. One gets patience. The other gets panic. And fans see it. Be honest. Do you still take Anthony Lima seriously, or has he completely lost the plot?